Today we're going to be looking at the internal factors that led towards Canadian Confederation. The internal factors that led towards Canadian Confederation are the repeal of the Corn Laws, the creation of the Canadian Pacific Railway, and political deadlock between Canada East and Canada West. The repeal of the Corn Laws were one of the key internal factors that led towards Canadian Confederation. The Corn Laws were British laws which set taxes on wheat and other cereals imported into Britain. Corn is what the British called wheat at the time. So, the Corn Laws created an advantage for Canadian farmers because Canadian farmers were able to trade with Britain and Britain's other colonies without having to pay tariffs and taxes on their goods, unlike other countries such as the Americans. The British North American colonies at the time did not have to pay taxes because they were a colony of Britain, meaning they weren't a foreign country, unlike America. However, in 1846, the British repealed the Corn Laws as part of a movement towards free trade, meaning no duties or taxes. The cancellation of this law led to the cancellation soon of other special import taxes for colonies for the colonies, meaning the protection that the British North American colonies used to enjoy was soon gone. And the Canadian farmers began to look to other trading partners because no longer did they have the advantage of trading with Britain. The U.S. soon became an alternative trading partner. Britain no longer relied on trading with its colonies, and as a result, felt it no longer needed the additional expense to pay to control the colonial politics. As a result, Britain let British North America take care of its own affairs under a system called responsible government. Political deadlock was another key issue that led towards the Confederation of Canada. The British hoped that with the creation of Canada East and Canada West, the English population would soon dominate and the French population as a result would slowly disappear. Both Canada East and Canada West were given an equal number of seats in the government when they were created because, again, the British hoped that the English population would soon assimilate the French population. Unfortunately, the English population did grow, but the French population did not disappear like the British originally hoped. And as a result, there was often political deadlock between the Canadian East and Canadian West government, because when one government was trying to pass a law, the other government would often vote and block it. And since there was an equal number of votes or of seats on both sides, neither could vote to pass a law without the support of the other side. Even though Canada West, the English side, did have almost 200,000 more people in their colony by 1861, they still only had 65 seats in the government, just like Canada East, which also had 65 seats. And as a result, Canada West also began to state that they deserved more seats because they had more people, known as representation by population, which again led to political deadlock. The railway was the last key internal factor that we're going to be looking at that led towards Confederation. It was the railway that many saw made Confederation possible because many colonies agreed to support Confederation with the promise of year-round transportation. And when British Columbia joined, it was the concept and slogan that now the colonies would be linked from sea to sea with the railway. The railway was important to the creation of Confederation because there was existing transportation between the different colonies through roads, canals, lakes, rivers, and railways. However, the roads were in poor quality and often impassable due to weather conditions. Canada East, Canada West, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick all had their own railway systems. However, they were not connected. And the canals and railways were designed to get goods to ports to be shipped to the U.S. and Britain. They weren't necessarily designed for intercolonial trade. The railway was needed to increase trade and move troops from colony to colony in case of war. The railway would also increase communication between the colonies, as well as increase business between the colonies. For example, fish could be shipped from Nova Scotia to Toronto with the railway, and an intercolonial railway would overcome the problems such as mountains and freezing of the St. Lawrence. That's all. The internal factors of Canadian Confederation that we'll be covering in class tomorrow.